Welcome back to Cop to Corporate Life After Law Enforcement. I'm your host, Sam, and today I am joined by someone whose career path represents true evolution in leadership, Steve Krystek, CEO and founder of PFC Safeguards. Steve began his career in the military and law enforcement before transitioning into the world of executive protection and corporate security. Today, through PFC Safeguards, he and his team provide elite level training and protective services for clients across the country. His story is the perfect example of what it means to take the skills learned in uniform and transform them into lasting impact in the private sector. So, Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, excited to be here.
We are excited you're here. So, let's go back to your early days in law enforcement. Well, I know you were in the military and then you worked for Vegas PD. So, what inspired you to serve, I guess, in both the military and law enforcement? And what were some of the key lessons or experiences that shaped your approach to leadership and protection?
Well, I think first off, I started really early in law enforcement as a volunteer and a cadet with the Whittier Police Department in Southern California, and that inspired me to go into the military and become a police officer there. I always eventually wanted to be a cop in the civilian world, but I knew going into the military was going to be the fast track to not only getting experience in that realm, but also completing my education and then also serving our country and gaining all the benefits that I could from the military. And from the time I went in. The goal was to get out and go into law enforcement and civilian. So I was able to accomplish a lot in the military, then actually made the transition into the Department of Energy, continuing in law enforcement there, and then to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. So a total of 12 years in law enforcement prior to getting into the private sector full time. And leadership was a common thread throughout the way. Even when I was in the Air Force, I was the team leader for our emergency services team, which allowed me some great opportunities to train with big city SWAT teams and other agencies all over the country to bring that information back into the Air Force and then lead and train our people there. And so those were some of the skills and the early beginnings of everything that kind of set the trajectory from there.
That sounds like a really amazing career. What was it it sounds like you, like a lot of people know for maybe since you were a teenager or before that you wanted to be a cop. So what was it that drove you towards that career?
Yeah. It was really my father. He was in the FBI, and so I grew up with uh, those values and that outlook on really doing something noble in life, and the profession just sucked me in, and like I said, I caught the bug early, and then from there, it was just a matter of figuring out the lanes and what I wanted to achieve.
Yeah, and I think it's great to get a lot of experience in all different types of law enforcement too, so you can really find where you fit in. And why didn't you join the FBI?
I didn't. I never liked the paperwork part.
Mm,
Even when I was in other stages of my career, I enjoyed the hot calls, the action, the gun calls, the fights, the foot pursuits, everything, the car chases, of course. And being in Las Vegas, there's really no better place than a few other big cities in the U.S. to kind of exercise that. But yeah, I really enjoyed the interaction with people, especially at the street level, and from what I had heard and seen about federal investigations, that wasn't for me. So,
yeah, I understand that. The hot calls are the most fun, and it's just really just making an impact or being in the action right away versus fully always planning it out and having to wait and, like you said, all the paperwork.
yeah.
Though I do remember a lot of paperwork at the local level too, but maybe not as bad as federal.
Nobody likes that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not the fun part.
Exactly.
So you hit 12 years of law enforcement, and then what?
So back in the late '90s, I actually founded my first company, and I always had an entrepreneurial drive. And this is while I was active duty military, and that was a very small part time business teaching self defense, firearms, essentially integrated use of force options and training at that time, and that evolved throughout my career. So, as a full time law enforcement officer with different agencies, and then getting into the 2000s, I hit that point where I had to make a choice, and with the early success of training. Turned into and evolved into us actually being able to provide protective operations and support executives, support corporations, and I was actually performing executive protection while also being a police officer, but I was doing it out of the country because our agency had a very strict off-duty employment policy. And so at that time, if I was doing that in our jurisdiction, then there would be a conflict. So with the clients that were building for us, the contracts that we're building, we had a good pipeline. We started doing training for the military, and there were just so many opportunities in the private sector that I couldn't continue to be a full-time police officer and take advantage of all these other opportunities. And so the decision was either capitalize on the future or live in the present and enjoy the comfort of an amazing job with great benefits and good pay, but there was a lot more to do, and so the decision was to move on.
Well, this may be kind of a vulnerability question, but was there a part of you that grieved or was sad about leaving this career that you had been doing for so long and that you had wanted for so long?
The biggest um, downside, I guess, would be not being able to work closely with all the people that I really enjoyed working with on a daily basis. Teamwork was such a big thing in law enforcement, and that's teamwork's actually one of the core values of our company now, and it's a lot of what I was able to enjoy in the public sector, but now in the private sector, and so that's really it. I enjoyed obviously helping, serving, assisting, being a part of the team. But I also knew that with what I had in mind for my future, I could do all of that and 10 times more in this world. So.
Yeah, camaraderie is such a big part of the military and of law enforcement. So losing that, even though you were able to gain it back, losing that is one of the hardest parts and one of the things that people consider the most. So um, I know that a lot of our listeners have the entrepreneurial bug like you did. So how did you kind of start that while also balancing a full-time law enforcement career?
So that was really driven by passion. I just really enjoyed training, and whether it was training that I was receiving from somebody else or somewhere else, or it was teaching. That was something that I found early on as a major motivator to give and to provide and impart whatever it is I could share. And obviously at that time, didn't know a lot, but was learning a little bit more than some others, and so I was sharing that, and then that just continued to build, and even today, there's still a lot to learn. There's still a lot that we all don't know, and I think that's the excitement about the future, and whatever it is that we're doing is that you continue to grow, you continue to develop, and in what I'm doing now, I'm actually able to help others do that, which was really the catalyst for seeing the bigger picture beyond law enforcement is just that the exponential ability to create opportunities for others and my companies.
That's a beautiful sentiment. So We know that becoming an entrepreneur, building a business is a hard thing to do. So for you, it really was passion and the drive to help others that pushed you to success. Would you say that that's right?
That's accurate. Yeah.
Okay. So you decide to become a full-on entrepreneur. You've got your business, and then what did you do after you left Las Vegas PD?
So that was that was actually a really interesting time because when before I left the PD, one of the things that made it easier or made it feel more secure is I'll never forget my exit interview with our captain at the time. He said, "Hey, you're leaving on the best of terms. We hate to see you go, but we know you're going to do great things. If it doesn't work out, you can come back anytime you want within the next 3 years, and you don't have to go through the academy again." So there was nothing to lose. So between that and then having a pipeline of great work lined up for 2 years, 3 years, that was really all I needed to make the decision. Fast forward about a year and a half, one of our biggest contracts that was the reason for being comfortable leaving was lost. And there were a lot of reasons for that we had no control over. But so that was a anxious time in the late 2000s. But at the same time, I've been working on a lot of other clients and other work and really diversifying in between training and operational support for executive protection teams and corporate security teams. There was enough that we had to look forward to. And so I'd say we really started to gain traction in the late 2000s. And then it just became exponential from there with clients both in the family office space, high net worth families, as well as corporations, and then government agencies. And so started to evolve the companies, expand, add companies, add clients, add locations that we were providing services, and then that continued on for years after that.
Well, talk to me about the importance of networking and the connections that you made in the early days to be able to build what you've built now.
We all hear that relationships are everything, and they really are. It may sound cliche, but that's the foundation for success, especially if you're in it for the long term, and reputation matters. And I think for me, what I really tried to do and still do today is listen more than I talk and give more than I take. And that always comes back in building those relationships that are going to be authentic and be real. And if you're there for others, they'll be there for you when you need them.
I think that's just a great life lesson in general.
Well, it certainly applies in business, but I think it's largely because of the law enforcement background and the way we've had to approach calls for service and interacting with the public and navigating the chain of command. I mean, all of those things translate to daily interactions in the corporate world or the private sector. And it's just be a good human, do the right thing.
Yeah. So talk to us about what your business looks like now.
So nowadays, with our full time, part time, and provisional personnel, we've got a little over 1,700 people across 19 states, all the major metro markets in the U.S. The largest company within the group is PFC Safeguards. It's about 50% family offices and high net worth families, and about 50% corporations. Executive protection, state security, travel security, corporate site protection. Uh, we also do a ton of training and military, law enforcement, civilians, security personnel. We've got other companies in the federal space working for three-letter agencies, a lot of, I'd call it white collar security services. And then there's other companies that feed and support those major operational verticals, whether they're holding companies or others that make sense as part of the conglomerate. But it's never a dull moment, and we're having fun. And I think the thing that ties all of this back to law enforcement in the early years for me is really our mission, and that's, believe it or not, it's not to, it's going to sound weird, but it's not to make money in terms of how profitable can we be, and what did last quarter look like. It's really about the three core components of our mission, which are creating capabilities, securing interests, and saving lives. And regardless of the company and organization that's doing those things, every single client that we have, which was over 400 now, is experiencing one of those three things, and obviously the most important would be saving lives. The military training we've done, the law enforcement training we've done, the medical training that we do, we've got countless stories of that occurring, which is really rewarding.
Wow, that is amazing. And I always encourage people whether they're building a company or looking for somewhere to work, to find a company with a mission that is deeper than, like you said, just making money or taking over the world, something that really resonates with their core values and that will, leave a positive influence on other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great.
Purpose is everything.
It is. It really is. And there is a way to find purpose after law enforcement. So, what advice do you have for people who are considering leaving law enforcement, who have just left and maybe feel lost and don't know where to go with their future?
So I think the first part of that would be if you're still in law enforcement, um, think very carefully about what your next moves are going to be, and have a plan B, have a plan C, maybe a plan D. Build that foundation first, and have something to fall back on if plan A doesn't work. If you've made that transition already and you're still trying to gain traction, I think there's a lot that the law enforcement experience gives us in the private sector that's a competitive advantage, whether that be you're competing for a promotion or a new role, or you're trying to open a business. I think the skills that translate the best, and maybe the most well received by anybody that you're engaging with, would be your people skills, and or in the corporate world, as we call them, soft skills, right? I think the hard skills sometimes get you in the door, and whatever's on the resume and the black belts and the shooting quals and things like that. That's great, but it's the soft skills that keep you there. And once you get in and you learn how to conduct yourself in a professional manner, which, coming from law enforcement, most of us are, inherently professional. Um, but sometimes there's a lack of personality, and it's just learning how to just be normal and relate, and get along with others, and don't take yourself too seriously.
I like how you said be normal. So, what do you look for when you're hiring? If, say, there's a cop that wants to come work for you, what are you looking for?
So, it's interesting. There's kind of two brackets. You've got the guys and gals who have done maybe 10 years, 10 to 12 years. And that's one sweet spot. That means they can still get their Leosa, so they can still carry a firearm if they're working for us. And they also have longevity for us. So they haven't um, gained too much mileage, that now they're going to be at a deficit when they get into our world, because what we offer are not jobs that allow you to be retired on duty.
Mm.
So the other bracket would be those who retired after 20, 25, 30 years. And those folks are incredibly valuable. Obviously, they're seasoned. They've got great maturity, good decision making, good judgment. They're really the profile that a lot of our clients prefer and expect. But we want to make sure that if you had that 20 or 25-year career, that the next 5 to 10 years with us are going to be you're going to be sprinting, and there's going to be great opportunities. You're going to have a good time. You're going to get a lot of support. You're going to be well paid. Get some training. If you want it, and you need it as well, because we're always training. But it's mindset and it's attitude. And, are you positive? Are you professional? Are you going to represent well? If and also, if you kind of don't want to work that much and you like to fish, you like to go on vacation, we've got opportunities for that as well, where you can come on board as a flex. So we really try to take care of the law enforcement community and the military communities, and respect and recognize their background, their accomplishments, and provide a place for them to really fit in and feel like they're surrounded by peers who understand them and appreciate them.
That's incredibly important. And I know that they appreciate that too. So, Steve, thank you so much for coming on to Cop to Corporate. It really was a pleasure to meet you. And can people find you anywhere?
Absolutely. Yeah. The easiest is our main website, which is pfcgoc.com. That's for PFC Group of Companies. And you can access us there.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
This video was recorded and produced by Just Talk Studios, the premier video podcasting studio in Bellevue, Washington. Visit justtalkstudios.com to learn more and book your session today.